Consciousness. The ancient occult teaching that everything is aware seems to be fully corroborated by all subsequent investigations. As we have seen in the study of the chapters concerning the planes of consciousness, there is manifested consciousness of some form, phase, or degree on all planes of life and being. Wherever there is substance, there is also motion, and also consciousness. Substance, consciousness, and motion are always found together, never apart or divorced from one another. There can be no substance without consciousness and motion, no motion without substance and consciousness, and no consciousness without substance and motion. In the above, we have but one of the many applications of the principle of correspondence, which teaches that as above, so below, as below, so above, and that from one know all. The principle of law and order. The principle of law and order manifest in the presence and manifestation of a regular sequence and orderly procession of phenomena in the universe of things. It is voiced by the celebrated axiom of a leading scientist that the universe is governed by laws. The spirit of this principle of truth is embodied in the very term, the cosmos, which term is derived from the Greek word cosmos, meaning the world or universe considered in connection with perfect order and arrangement, as opposed to chaos. In the occult teachings of the Rosicrucians, it is impressed upon the student that there is no such thing as chance, insofar as chance is used in the sense of uncaused happening. The student is taught that even in the instances in which blind chance seems to rule, there is still the manifestation of law and order and causation, though the causes may lie outside of human knowledge. The term chance is now employed by careful thinkers only in the sense of the unknown or unforeseen cause or causes of an event. In the cosmos, the same causes manifesting under the same circumstances always produce the same effects. All of our science and thought is based upon this universal fact. An intelligent reasoning would be impossible without the tacit assumption of the truth of this principle. There is no room for chance or haphazard, lawless happenings in the cosmos. Everything, every happening, and every event must have its causes and its becauses. Everything happens because of so-and-so. Given certain causes, there must issue certain results and effects. Nothing ever happens, says the old proverb, and nothing ever does happen except for definite causes and in pursuance with universal laws. As someone has said, there is no room in the universe for anything outside of and independent of law and order. The existence of such an outside something would render all cosmic law ineffective and would plunge the universe into chaotic disorder and lawlessness. A writer has said regarding this, a careful examination will show that what we call chance is merely the ideal of obscure causes, causes that we cannot understand. The word chance is derived from a word meaning to fall, as the falling of dice from the box onto the board. The essence of the idea being that the fall of the dice are merely happenings unrelated to any cause. And this is the sense in which the term is generally employed. But when the matter is closely examined, it is seen that there is no chance whatsoever about the fall of the dice. Each time a die falls and displays a certain number, it obeys a law as infallible as that which governs the revolution of the planets around the sun and the movement of the sun itself. Back of the fall of the die are causes, or chains of causes, running back further than the mind can follow. The position of the die in the box, the amount of muscular energy expended in the throw, the condition of the table, etc., etc., all are causes, the effect of the combination of which may be seen in the fall and position of rest of the die. But back of these perceived causes, there are chains of unseen preceding causes, all of which have had a bearing upon the position of the die as it comes to rest on the table. If the die be cast a great number of times, it will be found that the numbers shown will be about equal. That is, there will be an equal number of 1 spot, 2 spots, etc., coming uppermost. Toss a penny in the air, and it may come down either heads or tails, but make a sufficient number of tosses, and the heads and tails will even up. This is the operation of the law of average. But both the average and the single toss come under the law of cause and effect. The same writer says, "There is no original happening, and every happening is merely a link in a great chain of happenings. There is a continuity between precedent happenings, the present happenings, and future happenings. There is always the relation between what has gone before, what is happening now, and what will happen in the future. For instance, a stone is dislodged from the mountainside and crashes through the roof of a cottage in the valley below. At first sight, this seems to be a chance effect, but when we examine the matter, we find a great chain of causes behind it. In the first place, there was the rain which softened the earth, supporting the stone, and which allowed it or caused it to fall. Then back of that there was the influence of the sun, other rains, etc., which gradually disintegrated the rock from a larger piece. Then there were the causes which led to the formation of the mountain, and its upheaval by convulsions of nature, and so on ad infinitum. We might follow up the causes behind the rain. Then we might consider the existence of the cottage just at that place at that particular moment. In short, we would soon find ourselves involved in a mesh of cause and effect from which we would soon strive vainly to extricate ourselves. But the Rosicrucians do not believe in fatalism in the ordinary sense of that term. Fatalism denies that preceding events have any causal relation to preceding events, and holds that the fated event would have happened in spite of any precedent event. Fatalism makes the fated event stand apart from the law of cause and effect, and implies that the event arose from the operation of some arbitrary degree or will. The following quotation from an authoritative source will serve to point out the essential distinction between fatalism and the determination of cosmic law. Fatalism is the doctrine that the course of events is so determined that what an individual wills can have no effect on that course. Fatalism must be carefully distinguished from determinism, as the confusion of these two conceptions has been responsible for much of the popular prejudice existing against determinism. Fatalism, as has been said, denies that will has efficacy in shaping events. Determinism maintains that this causally effective will is itself to be causally accounted for. This is entirely different for the fatalistic assertion that will counts for nothing. In fact, determinism and fatalism are fundamental antagonistic. Determinism asserts that events are determined by some of the events that immediately precede them, that if the latter were different, the former would be different. Fatalism denies that immediate preceding events have anything to do with the origination of events immediately following. It asserts that the latter would occur even if the former were changed. To say that one's death is fixed by fate is to deny that it takes place by natural law. Or more accurately, it is to say that however much one varies the cause, one cannot vary the effect. The fatalist position is that the end is predetermined, but not the means. The determinist position is that the events now occurring led by causality to other events, which are thus fixed because their causes were actually existent. Or to put it still another way, for the fatalists, what actually determines the event is not another event immediately preceding, but some mysterious decree issued by some mysterious agent ages before the event. This enables us to see that fatalism gives no scope to the will, but determinism, which merely asserts that every event has its determining conditions in its immediate antecedents, includes among those antecedents the human will. Thus, determination is consistent with the belief in the efficacy of will, and fatalism is not. In the above, we have illustrations of some of the many applications of the principle of law and order, which teaches that nothing happens by chance, but everything happening is in accordance with law, order, and causation. The principle of vibration. The principle of vibration manifests in the manifestation of a state of vibration in everything in the manifested cosmos. It is voiced by the old occult axiom, everything vibrates. Modern science has advanced to the position of the ancient occultists who asserted that everything in the cosmos was in a state or condition of continuous vibration. Science now tells us that not only is every particle of matter or every mass of matter in a state of continual vibration, but also that light, heat, magnetism, electricity, and every other form of natural force results from a state of vibration. The occultists go further than this and assert that even on the mental and spiritual planes there is ever manifest a condition of vibration. In fact, the occultists teach that the distinction between the several planes of being is almost entirely due to the difference in the rate and character on the vibrations manifested. The difference between steel and gold or diamond and clay is entirely a matter of difference in vibrations. All forms of energy are accompanied by distinctive degrees of vibration. The conditions of material substance are created by the respective degree of vibrations manifested by each. A writer has said, "Science offers the illustration of a rapidly moving wheel, top, or cylinder to show the effects of increasing rates of vibration. The illustration supposes a wheel, top, or revolving cylinder running at a high rate of speed. We will call this revolving thing the object in following out the illustration. Let us suppose the object is moving slowly. It may be seen readily, but no sound of its movement reaches the ear. Then the speed is gradually increased. In a few moments the movement becomes so rapid that a deep growl or low note may be heard. Then, as the rate of motion is increased, the note rises higher in the musical scale. Then, the motion being still further increased, the next highest note is distinguished. Then, one after another, all the notes of the musical scale appear, rising higher and higher as the motion is increased. Finally, when the motions have reached a certain rate, the final note perceptible to human ears is reached, and the shrill, piercing shriek dies away, and silence follows. No sound is then heard from the revolving object, for its rate of motion is so high that the human ear cannot register the vibrations. Then comes the perception of rising degrees of heat. After quite a time in which degrees of heat are being manifested, without any sign of distinguishable color, though certain colors are there, but imperceptible to human vision, there gradually is manifested a dull, dark, reddish color in the revolving object. As the rate of speed increases, the red becomes brighter. Then, as the speed is still further increased, the red changes into an orange color. Then follow successively the shades of green, blue, indigo, and finally violet as the rate of vibrations increase. Then the violet fades away and all color disappears. The human eye not being able to register them, but there are invisible rays emanating from the revolving object, the rays that are used in photographing, and other subtle rays of light. Then began to be manifest the peculiar ray known as the X-rays. As the constitution of the object changes, electricity and magnetism are emitted when the appropriate rate of vibration is attained. When the revolving object reaches a certain degree or rate of vibration, its molecules disintegrate and resolve themselves into the original elements or atoms. Then the atoms in turn disintegrate and are resolved into the countless corpuscles which constitute the atom. And finally, even the corpuscles disintegrate, and a condition of ethereal substance is produced. Science does not dare to follow the illustration further, but the occultists teach that if the vibrations were continuously increased, the revolving object would mount up the successive states of manifestation and would display the various higher stages of consciousness. The occultists teach that each and every mental or emotional state has its own distinctive rate of vibration, and that the secret of emotional contagion is due to the fact that similar vibrations are set up in the emotional nature of persons subjected to the influence of strong emotion in another person. All manifestations of thought, emotion, will, desire, or feeling, or any other mental state, are accompanied and caused by vibrations of a certain high rate, and that these vibrations tend to influence others in their field of induction, and tend to set up in the others similar vibrations. In this fact lies the secret of mental influence, personal magnetism, etc. A knowledge and mastery of the science of mental vibrations enables the skilled Rosicrucian to change the rate of his mental vibrations at will, and to thus maintain a state of mental calm and power unaffected by the thought vibrations of those around him. So truly does advanced modern scientific thought recognize the nature of vibrations, that the axiom is announced that the difference in things consists entirely of difference in vibrations. This axiom is akin to the ancient occult aphorism that things manifest differences according to their rate of vibrations. So it is seen, all human investigation tends to prove the truth of the old occult axiom that everything vibrates.